Building a small but effective arsenal of sewing tools will help make your first couple of sewing projects a lot easier. In this lesson, I'll cover some sewing toolbox essentials. When you sew, you will be cutting a lot of things, like fabric, paper, and thread. So I'm going to start with some must-have cutting tools. Fabric shears are one of your most important sewing tools. There are many different types of fabric shears, but if you want a starter pair, just get some high-quality 8-inch knife edge shears. They're big enough to be efficient, but small enough to cut around tight curves. Remember, fabric shears are for fabric only, and you should never use them on paper. Speaking of paper, you will also need a pair of standard household scissors for cutting out your paper patterns. Just remember to keep these separate from your fabric shears. To save time while sewing, get an efficient pair of thread snips. They can just be a small pair of scissors, or you can go all out for a nice ergonomic pair. Keep them next to your machine and snip as you go. A rotary cutter can make cutting go twice as fast, and it is quite precise. It does require a cutting mat, which is the most expensive part, but you're going to want to buy the biggest mat you can, and you won't regret it. Pattern weights are particularly helpful if you choose to cut using a rotary cutter. You can buy small weights specifically for sewing, or use small heavy objects like cans of cat food or these metal washers from your favorite hardware store. Making clothing for yourself means becoming intimately acquainted with your body's measurements. Taking accurate measurements is essential to get a good fit. So have a good measuring tape handy whenever you start a project. You'll also often need to measure while you're sewing, so you should have at least one clear ruler handy. They make it easy to see your hems and work with the grain line on your fabric. A seam gauge is a small metal ruler that has a sliding guide. This tool will help you easily mark small repeated measurements like buttons, pleats, and your hem allowances. Pins act as an extra set of hands while you're cutting and sewing. During the cutting process, pins are used to secure your sewing pattern to your fabric, helping to keep everything stable as you cut. When you're sewing, pins are used to temporarily hold your two pieces of fabric edges together while you sew. Spare your sewing machine's needle by avoiding sewing over pins. Sewing over pins can break needles and disturb the timing of your sewing machine, so take them out right before your machine's about to go over them. You'll also need a pin cushion for storing all of your pins, like this iconic tomato cushion. It's usually red, but ours is pink. We also have a fun tutorial for making your own magnetic pin holder, so don't miss that on our YouTube channel. You'll often need to make markings on your fabric, and there are a bunch of different marking tools that you can choose. I love to use a classic triangle of chalk, but they also make chalk pens, pencils, and water-soluble markers. There's some really cute stuff out there, so have fun with this part. Sewing machine needles come in a variety of sizes and types. The larger the needle, the heavier the fabric it was intended for. Universal needles are a great all-purpose needle that can be used for a variety of fabrics. For example, size 70-11 are usually considered medium weight and are ideal for something the approximate weight of a bed sheet, so use that as a gauge. A higher number denotes a larger needle, while a lower number indicates a smaller needle. Just remember to replace your needle after 8 hours of sewing. We also have a downloadable needle guide just for Seamwork members that you can find in the classroom. Print it out and post it near your sewing machine for an at-a-glance reference for needles. Finally, there is one tool you cannot sew without, and that is the seam ripper. Mistakes are a natural part of sewing, and you're going to have to rip out some seams, maybe a lot of seams. It happens to the best of us, so always have a nice sharp seam ripper. It's worth every single penny. And those are some of the essentials you'll need to get sewing. What else might you need? Don't worry, you'll soon be collecting a ton of other notions and tools as you learn new techniques. But next, we're going to dive into choosing a project and picking out fabric.